The year 2008 marks an auspicious part of Jersey's history because it's the 90th anniversary of the end of the First World War, the Great War, the war to end all wars. Early in the year, I was approached to give ideas for celebrating this auspicious occasion. The most ambitious idea was a trench, to give some idea to Channel Islanders of the conditions under which most Channel Islanders fought during that Great War. We started putting together an authentic replica of a Western Front fire trench, a frontline trench.
I've been the managing director of GM for nearly 7 years. GM Limited is a civil engineering contractor. As such, we carry out a lot of work for public utilities, public related works including drainage. Once we got involved, we did a trial hole using the local field squadron's excavator, and we were relieved to find out that the ground conditions were in fact very good, and that did give us some confidence in the task we were going to achieve. Yeah, I think when they were done by hand picks and shovels, usually in probably a fit of panic as well, to try and get dug down as quickly as they could with people shooting at them. Obviously we didn't have that problem. We had a modern day excavator, but the work still took us 2 weeks to complete from start to finish. One of the main challenges we had was actually trying to create an authentic looking First World War trench under the constraints of modern day health and safety regulations. A trench anticipated to be 2 metres deep with people living in it. The potential for one collapse would be very serious, and obviously as a professional contractor we were aware of our responsibilities, and it soon became apparent that it wasn't going to look very good, and that's when we actually referred to our notes on trench warfare for infantry officers, which is quite interesting actually, published in December 1916, and gave us a number of ideas. A lot of ideas in there have actually been adapted to modern days. We had to use some wading beams effectively chained back and secured further back, and all the system of support with chains, steel wire ropes, was all hidden afterwards with the topsoil back over the top, so there's actually a lot more equipment in the ground that you don't see. Having seen some of the photographs of the World War I trenches, I believe there must have been a number of people, with explosions going off adjacent to the trenches, but the destabilised trenches. I should imagine it's probably one of the higher unreported casualty lists of the war. The amount of people that were killed in trench collapses. Absolutely horrific. And I'm sure these trenches must have collapsed regularly with people being buried. But I think we're very pleased the way the system did perform. It did hold up to the end. I think a lot of people from the local public and interest got a lot of satisfaction and pleasure out of the experience, and we were very pleased to be part of that. I think we were all very proud of what the finished product was at the end of the day.
And it was only fitting Senior Vincent Oberhard appeared on the scene while troops were actually in the trench with a mule.
Mules were used extensively in the First World War for supplying troops and pulling things like guns. Mules are incredibly hardy, versatile. They will keep going in conditions where horses won't.
And 127 boys from Victoria College never returned. They were killed. Many of them in the trenches, which is where they're going now.
Quick, one, left, right, left, right, left.
Then in 1914 my country said, son, it's time you stop playing, there's work to be done. So they gave me a tin hat, and they gave me a gun, and they marched me away to the war. And the brass band played Rule Britannia as the ship pulled away from the shore. Amidst all the cheers, the flag waving and tears, we sailed off to uphold the law. And now I well remember that terrible day, how our blood stained the grass and the water, and of how in the hell that they called Flanders Field, We were butchered like lambs in the slaughter. The Boche was waiting, he'd primed himself well. He showered us with bullets and he rained us with shell. And in 5 minutes flat, he'd blown us to hell. Nearly blew us right back to old Blighty.
It certainly taught me that I wouldn't want to be involved in it. Horrible experience, not much sleep, very cold at night. Just a combination of incredible tedious boredom and moments of, you know, fear and horror and shock. And it's basically taught me that it's something horrible that I'm so glad I wasn't involved in it.
The food's been okay. I don't know how realistic it was sometimes, but the food's been not too bad. But it's not particularly interesting. It's the same sort of thing again and again. So again, you know, on years on, or you know, weeks and weeks on the front line, it must get very boring and monotonous.
Yeah, I got 3 letters, 2 from Victoria College, asking what the life in the trench was and how it was, and what kind of sleep patterns do you get, what do you do in the day, what do you do in the night, and kind of things like that. It resembles what happened back then, and saying that their loved ones trying to find out what's happened. And
it's taught me a lot about man management, having 10 cadets, not experienced at all in trench warfare, getting them motivated every morning, getting them out of bed, doing menial tasks such as standing still and facing the enemy for an hour a day.
It's a very, very narrow space. You can't find any space for yourself. People have to climb over you all of the time. The stand too, where they spent an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening just staring out into the middle of nowhere. There's not many young people who have the opportunity for an entire hour to just stand there and have nothing to do except think. So it's been very interesting listening to their conversations about what they talk about and what they were thinking on stand 2.
If you notice this kind of embankment, that was just done through them out of sheer boredom, wanting to do something, whereas if you were to ask them to do that in the first place, they would never have touched it.
They've had very long periods of time where they've felt their hands and their toes are going to fall off, when really they're not. Just a taste really of being cold.
It's a good event, lashing it down. In the trenches they used to have upwards of 2 feet of water at times during the winter, so to have absolutely no rain over the 36 hours has been spectacular.